Finding our identity in God's grace alone, we will see God's kingdom expand across the globe as we love people well and serve our spheres of influence. We will lead God's people to a flourishing life as we help them build healthy relationships and grow in awareness of how they can walk out all the unique gifts and talents they have in Christ. We will impact every city we are in by meeting everyone where they are with God's tangible love, with innovation and creativity, always pointing to Christ as the author of our faith story. We as the collective have the opportunity to come together in unity and love well, because our God and Creator loves us well. We can be generous because He is generous with us, and we can dream big because our God is able, through His mighty power at work within us, to accomplish infinitely more than we might ask or think. We as the church have been created and called for a purpose, and today we can embrace our place and fulfill that purpose. We are the collective, and we are united under one name and for one cause, Jesus.
Hey TC fam, my name is Ruth and I'm one of the team members here at The Collective. If you've been part of the Collective family, welcome back. And if you're new here, I will extend all the love and a very special warm welcome to you. And also if you're new here, I would like to draw your attention to a QR code that's going to appear on the screen. And you can scan this and this will lead you into a form that has a few questions that will let us get to know you a lot better. But if you miss it, it's okay because we have Zoom Lobby Hangout after this service. And there's a great place for us to chat and hang out virtually. Also, if you want to get connected even deeper, we have online connect groups happening throughout the week. You can find the full schedule to that in our website. If you're watching from YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, I would encourage you to head over to our church online platform for you to get the full online experience. We have live hosts ready to greet and chat with you. We also have a live prayer button and a prayer team ready to pray together with you. And that is it for me. Before we go into worship, I would encourage you to follow our social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you after the service.
Arise, my soul, remember this. He took my sin and He buried it. No longer I who live, but Jesus lives in me. For I was dead in sin, but I woke up to see the light. Though I
constant in the way that you forgive me, steady as the moon that shifts the tide, consistent in the way that you believe in me, true in how you choose me every time. To the end, I will stand with you to the end, devoted to you to the end. I will sing to you to the end. You are constant in the way that you amaze me, steady as the moon that brings the night, consistent in the way that you're redeeming me, true in how my past will change your mind. To the end, I will stand with you to the end, devoted to you to the end. I will sing to you to the end. Oh, to the end. You can count on me to the end, faithfully to the end. I will sing to you to the end, till our time runs out and my breath wears thin. You will hear my voice, my imperfect melody. When my bones are dust and my hands can't raise, you will hear my voice and my love will last till my time runs out and my breath wears thin. You will hear my voice, my imperfect melody. When my bones are dust and my hands can't raise, you will hear my voice and my love will last till all time runs out and my breath wears thin. You will hear my voice, my imperfect melody. When my bones are dust and my hands can't raise, you will hear my voice and my love will last to the end. I will stand with you to the end, devoted to you to the end. And I will sing to you to the end. Oh, to the end. You can count on me to the end, faithfully to the end. I will sing to you to the end. Oh, to the
We want to be the light that illuminates dark places. To bring love that moves hearts to go and do the same. To be present and intentional with others as their story unfolds. To love well. We are a community driven by a purpose that is bigger than ourselves. One that has called us to love people and appreciate the beauty of our differences. A call to empower others through love, which fills those around us with the confidence to be bold.
Well, hello and welcome here today. My name's Janae, and I'm so excited that you chose to join us from wherever you are at today. You know, I know that we're all coming off of different types of weeks. Some of you may have had a very hard week. Some of you may have had incredible weeks, or maybe just okay. But whatever it looks like, I'm glad you're here today because I really believe that God has something special for us. One of the things that we love and we value here at the Collective is community. It's one of the things that makes life so exciting, and it's a gift that we have been given through Christ Church. So we're glad that you're a part of this community. One of the things we love to practice here at the Collective is generosity, and that can look like a whole bunch of different things. But what I want to tell you all is this church is so generous, and we're so thankful for it. We love having you a part of everything that's going on. One of the ways we like to practice that generosity is through our giving. And so we just want to open up a way for you to give today if you'd like to. If you go down to the link below, it's going to lead you to a page that's going to show you all different ways that you can give today. But what I really want you to know is how much we love you and value you, that you are a part of this family. We're praying for you, and we hope you enjoy the service.
Hello, and welcome to another online collective experience. My name is Jordan, and I'm one of the pastors on staff here at the church. And hey, look, we're super happy that you are joining us today. You know, I really believe that God's brought you online with us for a purpose, and he woke you up with a purpose. And so we're just thankful for you, whoever you are or wherever you are, that you're tuning in with us today. In fact, I want to give a special shout out to maybe some of you that are watching, and maybe you're someone of another faith, or maybe you're journeying out your faith and what that looks like with this guy that we follow named Jesus. And as you're journeying this out and discovering it, we want you to know that we're happy that you're here with us. And wherever you are and part of the journey, that is okay, because we believe in doing life together. And so right now we're on part 3 of our sermon series, Personal Awareness. Personal awareness. How many of you guys have been enjoying this series? If you've been enjoying it, go ahead and type in the chats, type things that you've been learning or things that you liked. For example, in week 1, Pastor Alex talked about how we need to #clean up your trunk. And see, this trunk isn't talking about the back of your car, but it's taking inventory of your life, getting your life in order of the things that are going on in terms of maybe your strengths, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what's going on internally inside of you. And then last week in week 2, we talked about emotional health, taking inventory of your emotions. How many of you guys know that our emotions are a gift from God? But if we let that gift rule our life, it becomes God. And how many of you guys know our emotions aren't supposed to be God? They're just a gift from God that we need to take inventory of and process correctly so that we can use them correctly in life. And so today we're going to be talking about something that maybe some of you guys might enjoy, maybe some of you guys might find this foreign, but today we're going to be talking about personal awareness towards the idea of self-care and rest. Self-care and rest. How many of you guys have been taking care of yourselves during Corona, during this season, this global crisis? How many of you guys have been actually taking care of yourself? And see, when I would say the word rest, or I would say the word self-care, some of you guys in your seats, you might have just kind of sat up a little bit and said, this is my message because I need to be cared for, you know, or I need to feel rested. Maybe some of you guys sat up in your seats and maybe you think, you know, I don't know if I really need to hear this message because I take care of myself pretty good. I'm pretty rested. Or maybe some of you guys are like me, and when you guys hear the word rest, you think, I don't need to rest. I'll rest when I die. I kind of have that personality in me where or maybe let me backtrack a bit. I used to have that personality in me that would say, you know what, I'm gonna rest when I die because I just need to succeed, I need to win, I need to work hard, I need to hustle no matter what, because when I'm dead, that's where all the rest can happen. So I used to say that a lot. But over time, I've kind of come to realize through my experiences in life is that I've realized that, man, when I'm not taking moments of self-care and rest in my life, I end up being the worst version of myself. For example, I remember, in my seasons of being a youth pastor, there were times where we would, I'll put it this way. As a youth pastor, a lot of my life revolves around student school years. When a student school year would start in maybe the fall or maybe late August until maybe May or June, that's kind of where my year would start in a way, because as a youth pastor, my year would follow students' lives. And so my year would be hectic and busy from school year start to school year end, from meeting with parents, meeting with teens, going to campuses, meeting with teachers, collaborating with teams and my leaders and trying to do things together and build this youth community. And so my year would just be this exhaustive effort of just pastoring and caring and mentoring and trying to build into teenagers and build into families. And then what would happen is I would go really hard through the year and it would build up to this pinnacle moment, which is known as our summer getaway or our summer camp. And one last exhaustive effort, we would put in so much effort and energy into our summer camp and make it incredible. And teens would really encounter Jesus and they have so much fun and people would grow so close to Jesus. And it was an exciting part of the year. And so much of our energy would be spent into this camp at the last part of the school year. Now, see, after that camp, I remember every time I would feel so exhausted. I would feel so exhausted because it felt like one final push as a team to get this last event done so that teens would go into their summer holidays. We can go into summer mode as a team, take a break. Now, see, I remember for a couple years, because I had such a go-getter mentality, I remember after camp and I would feel emotionally exhausted, I would think, you know what? Let me just do a little bit more hard work through the summer so I can capitalize on this, so I can go into the fall ready with like an investment to withdraw from to go into the year. And so what that would look like is I would think, you know what? Even though it's summer, there's a lot of teens that aren't doing anything in the summer. Let me run summer internships. Let me keep a busy summer schedule. Let me pour myself into teams in the summer so I can intentionally build them up so we have a strong core of people to run into next year. So remember, right, I would think that was a good idea. I would also think, if I capitalize on that, it's gonna bring me some awesome leaders in the future for next year. But what turned out to be one plan of a summer internship became multiple yeses to multiple unplanned plans that ended up draining me not only through my summer, but helped me feel or made me feel drained going into my the next school year. And see, what happened in that next school year is I remember as I did this pattern, I would go into the next school year already feeling emotionally drained, already feeling physically tired, already feeling spiritually depleted, that I would end up becoming more short with people. I'd end up I remember one time, a teen was just making a joke on a WhatsApp chat, and I kind of just wrote this unnecessary, mean retort on the text. And I remember looking back in that moment being like, why did I even say this? But I think the reason why I said that is because I entered this place where, because I was emotionally exhausted and I was busy with my schedule nonstop, I wasn't creating moments where I was taking care of myself and I was resting. And out of that place, I ended up coming out with the worst version of me. That version that was, in a way, mean and critical and had no capacity for conversations and connection and just made poor decisions. And see, how many of you guys have seen the worst of you come out when you haven't been taking care of yourself and you haven't been resting? Or how many of you guys have seen that worst version of you? For example, maybe some of you, when you're not rested or you're not taking care of yourself, you have seen yourselves making poor decisions. Or maybe you've seen yourself not making any decisions, right? Maybe you're in a place of just being in between in your plans because you just don't know the right solution And from that place, you just procrastinate. You just fall back. You feel afraid of making a decision. Maybe some of you guys, because of your lack of self-care and rest, you find yourself more critical, more tense. You feel the weight of the world on your shoulders of just trying to make sure that things go well. And from that place of high tension, you find yourself more short with people. You can be more short with your family, more short with your siblings, your spouse, your kids. You just find yourself in a place where you're just, again, the best way we could put it is the worst version of you comes out. And so when the worst version of you comes out, what do? Do we just follow the same mentality of, well, you know what, I just need to keep working harder and I'll get through the storm? You know what this kind of feels like, especially in this global climate that we're facing? It kind of feels like we're in this place where we're trying to scoop water out of our boats called life with a bucket during a rainy storm. How many of you guys know that sounds counterintuitive, right? Trying to scoop water out of your bucket, which we'll call your water, out of your boat, which we'll call the boat life. You're trying to scoop that out with a bucket during a rainy storm. How many of you guys know that doesn't sound right? That sounds counterintuitive. It sounds tiring. But I think that's what life feels like sometimes when we're at the end of our limit and we're not taking care of ourselves, but we're still trying to solve all of life's problems, trying to do the same thing. See, when we talk about rest and self-care, when we tie it into our busy life, that itself can also sound draining. It can sound counterintuitive because some of us think, well, maybe we need to just keep working harder until we get out of this mess. Taking a rest means I'm going to slow down. And if I slow down, that means I'm stuck. It means I'm stuck here. But I want to take us through a couple verses where I actually believe God intentionally designed us to actually be restful, to take care of ourselves. In fact, I think it's part of something that God designed and desires for us. Rest and self-care. So check this out. I want to take us to a verse here in Genesis. And this is Genesis verse 2 in chapter 2. And it says this. It says, so the creation of the heavens and the earth and everything in them was completed. On the seventh day, God had finished his work of creation. So he rested from all his work. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy because it was the day when he rested from all his work of creation. And see, what's interesting is in this verse, what we see here is we have God and it says that God rested from his work. Now, if God's God, why would he need to rest? What's the point? If he's God, he should never need to rest. He should never feel tired. But see, actually, I think when we read this, God wanted to create and model something for us. In fact, if anything, God didn't need to rest physically or emotionally. God wanted to rest because he wanted to model a sense of appreciation, a sense of fulfillment and vision. In fact, I love what it says. If you look at verse 3, it says, and God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy. The day of rest, God declares it holy. I think it's holy when we can find moments of rest, moments of refreshment, moments of clarification and appreciation for what God has done. Rest, self-care, and rest. I think God has originally designed this from the beginning. Now, I want to take us to another verse, and this is in Luke chapter 5. This is what it says in verse 12. It says, in one of the villages, Jesus met a man with an advanced case of leprosy. When the man saw Jesus, he bowed with his face to the ground, begging to be healed. Lord, he said, if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean. Jesus reached out and touched him. I am willing, he said. Be healed. I want to pause there. Maybe some of you guys are in this place where you're just like asking God for you to feel rested, to feel whole, to feel healed again. Well, I want to let you know that God is willing. God has been willing this whole time in this season that we're in. Let's go on to verse 14. It says, then Jesus instructed him not to tell anyone what had happened. He said, go to the priest and let him examine you. Take along the offering required in the law of Moses for those who have been healed of leprosy. This will be a public testimony that you have been cleansed. And there's one more verse in this part of Luke that I want us to read. Check this out. It says, but despite Jesus' instructions, The report of his power spread even faster, and vast crowds came to hear him preach and to be healed of their diseases. But Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer. But Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer. You see, I think if God designed rest and self-care in something that he originated years and millennia before we ever came across into this earth, then we have Jesus here trying to model this sense of what rest could look like. It says, but often Jesus withdrew to the wilderness for prayer. Now, yes, Jesus was 100% God, but we also have to remember that Jesus was 100% man as he was on this earth. And see, I want to venture to say that if Jesus was 100% man, he knew he had limitations. He knew he had emotional capacities and physical capacities that he could only do within his time here. So yes, he was 100% God, but as much as he was also 100% God, he was 100% man. And imagine if Jesus actually didn't take the time to refresh himself within his Father's presence. Imagine if Jesus didn't take the time to reflect and remind himself that he needs to be dependent on God's Spirit. Imagine if Jesus didn't take the time to reflect on all the things that God's been doing in his life. And if he carried that same emotion, could he have possibly walked towards the line of doing life on his own strength? Could he have fallen towards the place where we get to, where we respond out of a lack of emotional health, a lack of emotional capacity, and he responds out of short retortness towards his disciples, the people around him? I mean, I can't imagine how many people came up to Jesus day in and day out with their sense of hurts and their, God, don't you know that this has been happening in my life? What about my sister passing away? What about my business crashing? What about this oppressive Roman Empire ruining my family? Jesus, this has been happening. When will you deliver us? God, why won't you heal me? Why won't you do this? God, why can't you do this? Come on, God, where are you? And we have Jesus, 100% God, yet 100% man, having to deal with all these people, all these problems, all these things. And so we have Jesus modeling this moment where he's saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this on my own strength, but I know that I need to take time away, spend time with my Father, and be rested, care for myself, take some time to reinvest into me so that I can reinvest into others. So I think sometimes when we think of self-care and rest, we'll look at it in a way of, well, that's just laziness. It's just escaping, right? Self-care is simply just indulging in yourself, right? Just finding a way to escape. But actually, I believe self-care and rest is something valuable. In fact, this is the definition of self-care and rest that I want to read to you. Self-care and rest is intentional living partnered with active surrender. Read that one more time. Intentional rest is intentional living, not intentional rest. Self-care and rest is intentional living partnered with active surrender. Intentional living partnered with active surrender. So when we think about self-care and rest, our minds immediately want to go into, maybe self-care and rest is just being lazy and doing nothing. Maybe self-care and rest is just vegging on the couch and just watching Netflix for hours and hours, hoping to feel better. Right? But actually, if we use this definition of self-care and rest, which is intentional living partnered with active surrender, what's going to happen is an intentional way of living our life. Now, I want to paint a couple pictures of what this looks like. What this looks like is, intentional living. Intentional living means we're going to say yes to the things that we're going to say yes to and no to the things that we're going to say no to. For example, some of you guys might have a hard time saying no to people. I had a problem with that for the past couple of years. I said yes to a summer teens internship program, but what that means is I also had to say more yeses to more plans with more teens, to more plans with more leaders, to more planning meetings, to more times that things didn't go well and I had to problem solve with dramas amongst people, right? And if that was a season or a time where God was saying you need a rest, but I'm saying yes to people that I could say no to, then I'm not being intentional with my time. Maybe intentional living means that instead of saying yes to plans you're not supposed to, you just do the job you're supposed to do. But you also, maybe something else that's hard is maybe you're supposed to say yes to your family, but you're caught in the middle of saying yes to your job. Maybe you need to find the right yeses at the right times that you're supposed to. Maybe you're supposed to say yes to your family in this time of your day and no to your family in this time of your day. Maybe yes to your family at night, but no to your job at night. I don't know. Maybe self-care and rest when it's intentional living partnered with active surrender. What active surrender looks like is active surrender is you're gonna do the best that you're supposed to do in this day. And then you say, God, if I've done my best and poured myself out, I have to trust you with the rest of this result. See, most of the time when we think of the word surrender, we think of this thought and concept of just sitting around doing nothing. Now, is there a time of surrender that's what it looks like? Yes, I think that's what surrender could look like. But active surrender is hitting a place where you say, man, God, I'm gonna plan, I'm gonna try to execute, I'm gonna do my best. And at the end of the day, I have to trust you with the result. I have to trust you that this was the best decision. This was the best moment. I had to let go of this person. I had to let go of this plan. I had to let go of this idea. I had to let go of my sense of control. See, I think when we can actually enter a place of self-care and rest, intentional living, partnered with active surrender, something's gonna happen. And I think the fruit of this would look like this. This is what it says in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. It says, the fruit of the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things. See, I believe that if God designed rest for us and we're actually taking the rest we're supposed to, if rest is active surrender, what more models a life of following what the Spirit looks like than surrender? Active surrendering to God and saying, God, I need to surrender into you. And see, the fruit that comes out of it is this: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. See, I actually believe that if you're here and you're saying you're resting and you're saying you're taking care of yourself, but your life isn't reflecting this fruit, then I would challenge you to reimagine what your rest looks like, because maybe you're doing the wrong rest. See, some of us, maybe your resting has been escaping into video games, into work, into fake senses of success, into moments where you think you need to feel validated again. Or maybe what rest and self-care look like is just vegging on the couch and hoping you can pass another day. And you think all this consumerism and intake is something that you think is gonna help you. But actually, at the end of the day, you don't feel more loving, you don't feel more peaceful, you don't feel more caring, you don't feel more gentle. You just feel more emotionally at your capacity. See, that's where I would challenge you to say, have I actually been taking care of myself and resting? See, I actually believe that sometimes if we can apply self-care and rest, we could actually still be working, but if we're doing the right things from that place of work, we can still feel love, care, or it's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, we'll still feel the fruit of the Spirit. But what it comes down to is, are you intentionally living and partnering that with active surrender? Are you intentionally doing the things that you're supposed to do and partnering that with surrendering to God and saying, God, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do today, I'm supposed to today. And the things I'm not supposed to carry, the expectations I'm not supposed to carry, the weight from people I'm not supposed to carry, I'm not gonna carry that. And I'm gonna surrender to you. I'm gonna let go of the control of the results to you. Intentional living partnered with active results, or active rest, or active surrender would look like this kind of fruit, the fruit of the Spirit. So there's 3 questions that I wanna leave with us that we can use to kind of gauge if we have been in a place of self-care and rest. Check this out. 3 key questions to approaching self-care and rest. Number 1, you gotta ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing what I'm doing? See, I think when God designed the 7th day as a place of rest, and he moved that towards his people as a day of Sabbath or a Sabbath rest, part of it was that the Sabbath rest would create a sense of restfulness, reflection, and reminder of what God has been doing and has done in his people's lives. The beauty of his creation and how he's created pathways and openings for them. So I think sometimes if you can take a moment of rest, you can ask yourself, well, why am I doing what I'm doing? You can ask this whether you're working or you're not working. You can ask this because maybe it'll help divvy out what you need to do in your calendar of life. Why am I doing this job? Do I need to do this job? Why am I saying yes to this person? Do I need to say yes to this person? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Maybe as you discover your why, you're gonna find a new sense of motivation for who you are and why you need to be doing what you're doing. And see, from that place, in that new motivation, you'll gain that new sense of vision and ownership and excitement. And that actually feels like rest. Because once you get that, you discover, well, I'm only gonna do what God's calling me to do. I'm gonna attach myself to who God's calling me to be. So number one, why am I doing what I'm doing? Number two, is my life reflecting the fruit of the Spirit? See, sometimes you'll get the why or the vision of why you're doing what you're doing, and then you start going and doing what you're supposed to do in life. But if your life isn't reflecting the fruit of the Spirit of love, joy, peace, patience, all those good fruits, if your life isn't reflecting those things, then there's got to be a disconnect. You're definitely not caring for yourself, and you're definitely not rested. Because from that place of self-care and rest, you'll end up making actually good decisions, not bad decisions. You'll end up making decisions out of love, out of a place of love, out of a place of joy, out of a place of self-control. And from that place, you'll be making good decisions. But if you're not, chances are you're not rested. Question 2, again, it says, is my life reflecting the fruit of the Spirit? And question number 3, am I doing what I'm supposed to do in this season? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing in this season? 3 questions. The third one, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing in this season? Have you been saying yes to too many people? Have you been saying no to the wrong people or no to the right people and yes to the wrong people? Has that been what's happening? Have you been in a place where you keep saying yes and you're overdoing the amount of things that you're supposed to do, and now you're in this place where because you think you need to be needed or you feel so much sense of worth or a sense of purpose when you're busy, then you enter this place where you end up being so drained because you're doing too much. Right? How many of us have fooled ourselves into busyness thinking that busyness is intentionality, that busyness is effectiveness? I think it's a lie. But we need to enter a place where we need to ask ourselves, am I doing what I'm supposed to do in this season? Have I been doing what I'm supposed to do in this season for my business, for my colleagues, for my coworkers, for my family, for myself? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? So these 3 questions, we could use them as a gauge for a way on if we are taking care of ourselves and resting. See, church, I believe that if we're able to gauge with these questions and look into our life and take a sense of personal awareness and we look at this and we look at what we've talked about today, I believe that the fruit of this, the fruit of self-care and rest, is gonna come out where we're gonna be more in a sense of a place of refreshment. What's gonna come out of this place is we're gonna have a new sense of vision, a new feeling of emotional capacity. When we take care of ourselves and we rest and we take some inventory of our life, what's gonna happen is the outcome of it is going to be more hope, more joy. It's gonna be the fruit of the Spirit. But the hope is that it's gonna translate into better decisions in our company, better decisions in our organizations, better decisions with the leaders among us, better decisions in leading our families, leading our friends, approaching our parents, approaching our coworkers, feelings about ourselves. I believe that the best version of us is on the other side of self-care and rest. So we no longer need to escape or run away. We no longer need to just indulge in ourselves, but self-care and rest looks like intentional living partnered with active surrender. So let's take a moment and let's pray together. Father God, we trust that you are always on the other side of our seasons of life. God, that you're there preparing a way. God, you're preparing the way for the family that's going through a crisis, for the marriage that's going through a crisis. God, you're in the middle of the storm of the man who has to keep up his business, from the woman that's trying hard to be a parent. God, we thank you so much for everything that could be going on, because we know that you are there with us. And so God, I pray that during this time, could you bring a sense of refreshment in how we could take care of ourselves and rest and reinvest in ourselves, because we know that you care for us. And so we can care for us. And so God, I pray that from this place, we can find a moment where we can take care of ourselves and rest and surrender to you. And from that, the best version of us will come out. So we thank you for this and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Well, hey, we love you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys next week, next Sunday, same time and same place. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Moon and stars telling us of who you are. You light the way and move our hearts from across the universe. Day and night, the song we bring in your delight. You listen close to every cry. You hang on every word. All across the universe, we can feel your love on earth. All across the universe, your love revealed. Your love is real. Infinite, no limit to the love you give. Pouring out and reaching in. Oh, please like the sun, like the sun. All across the universe, we can feel your love on earth. All across the universe, your love revealed. Your love is real. Oh, your love revealed. Your love is real. Come on. Your love revealed. Your love is real. Moon and stars telling us of who you are. All across the universe, we can feel your love on earth. All across the universe, your love revealed. Your love is real. All across the universe, we can feel your love on earth. All across the universe, your love revealed. Your love is real.
Guys, I don't know about you, but I love this month's theme of self-awareness. And I love that Pastor Jordan said the best version of ourselves is on the other side of self-care and rest, and that we as people have to value those two things. Don't forget, we have Zoom lobby hangout after this service, or it might already be happening, so don't miss out on that. If you miss out, you can check out our online connect group happening throughout the week. You can see the full schedule on our website. Don't forget to tag us on our social media Follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye. We love you.